Now know the name of the person who was shot and killed inside a Huntersville Walmart. Police say the shooting was the result of a fight involving at least 5 people. Several shots were fired with customers inside the store.
The victim, now identified as 19-year-old Jalen Dominique Craig of Charlotte, was involved in a fight inside the Huntersville Walmart. Police say at least 4 others were involved, and there were customers involved.
Now, breaking down the Walmart surveillance footage involving DaBaby. So, you know that Walmart shooting involving DaBaby and another man, which eventually led to DaBaby killing that person? That footage just got released, and I want to take a look at it and break it down. So, with that being said, let's talk about it. Now, DaBaby, I've talked about DaBaby like 5 times in the last 2 weeks. He's been involved in a lot of shit, to say the least. So you know that story involving DaBaby taking someone's life in Walmart? You've probably heard about it. It happened back in 2018, but the surveillance footage of the actual incident just got released. Before we go over the footage, let's go over the story one more time just to set the facts straight. On November 5th, 2018, shortly after 6:30 p.m., Huntersville police responded to a shooting that went down inside a local Walmart in the area. The shooting in question involved DaBaby and a couple other people. The story is this. DaBaby was at Walmart with his family when he got approached by several people. One of those people was 19-year-old Jalen Craig. This situation ended up escalating so quickly, and DaBaby ended up killing Jalen Craig. This is what the initial reports were saying. Police say an initial investigation revealed an altercation occurred between several people inside the store. During the altercation, the group started to fight and shots were fired, according to the statement. DaBaby's family ended up getting escorted from the scene by SWAT officers, and DaBaby, was detained and brought in for questioning by the authorities. DaBaby was initially charged with murder for this particular shooting, but the charges were eventually lowered to a misdemeanor for carrying a concealed weapon. In March 2019, however, a couple months after the shooting, the charges got dropped. Now, why exactly did that happen? Well, because a key witness in the shooting was unavailable. So that led to the judge who was handling this case dismissing these charges against DaBaby. So now, at this point at least, it looked like DaBaby was gonna walk away from this incident unscathed. However, a couple months later in June 2019, DaBaby was found guilty of the concealed weapon charge. This happened because the state wasn't pleased with the outcome of the shooting, and so they kept on pursuing this case. The end result as far as consequences for DaBaby was he was found guilty of carrying a concealed gun and was sentenced to 12 months of unsupervised probation and 30 days in jail. Now, DaBaby actually never ended up serving that 30 days in jail because, well, that jail sentence got suspended. During this whole ordeal, DaBaby maintained his innocence and claimed that he only shot Jalen Craig as a way to protect himself and his family. So, self-defense is the key word here. And obviously the law agreed with the fact that it was self-defense, hence to why the murder charges ended up getting dropped. I think I've done a good job at telling the story and painting the picture. Would you agree? I think you would, which is why I think you should like this video and subscribe. I digress. So now that I've painted the whole picture of what happened in that Walmart shooting involving DaBaby and the late Jalen Craig, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the footage. Now, yesterday, the footage to this shooting ended up getting released, so now we have actual video of the incident. This is a pretty controversial case right here. A lot of different opinions floating around, mainly because it involves a casualty. There are some other things that will come into play later, but for now, let's keep on talking. So, here's the video and let's go through it. The guy in the blue shirt is Henry Douglas, Jalen's best friend. You can't see DaBaby yet, but DaBaby is right in front of Henry, so he's standing pointed towards DaBaby and Jalen is to his right. By the way, this is really important since there's a lot of misinformation going around social media about this video right here. Jalen Craig is the guy in all black with what appears to be red slides. So focus on Jalen and DaBaby as we're going through this. Now check out what happens next. This is when DaBaby starts being visible. DaBaby, as you can see, lunges at Henry Douglas. Henry is obviously caught off guard and he's now in a defensive mode. On this next part right here, DaBaby manages to overpower Henry. While that's going on, Jalen Craig, as you can see right there, goes for his gun. Now DaBaby sees that Jalen went for his gun as he's overpowering Henry Douglas. In this next part, we see a couple things happen. DaBaby and Henry are tussling, and at this point, they're both not visible on the security footage, while Jalen is. Just going through this part again really fast, Henry Douglas is standing in front of DaBaby, Jalen is to his right, DaBaby charges at Henry, Jalen reacts by going for his gun. DaBaby and Henry tussle their way out of the security footage. Continuing, Jalen at this moment had his gun in his hand up until this point. It appears like Jalen puts his gun right back here, and let's continue to the next shot from here. So this is what we see next. Mariah Osborne is the woman who was with DaBaby at the time. I'm not sure if it's his baby mama or girlfriend. Let's just address her as his girlfriend for now. But she was with him. As you can see, her and the third guy who was with Jalen and Henry both walked towards the scuffle. Moving on on to the next shot. Now this is when things go down, so pay attention. Right here you can see DaBaby and Henry Douglas still going at it. It looks like DaBaby is overpowering him by wrapping his arms around Henry. And right here to the bottom left, Jalen appears in the frame. Jalen then walks up to DaBaby and Henry, who are tussling. Right there, Jalen puts his hands on DaBaby, and as you can see, he also goes for his gun. I'm gonna fast forward from this part to this part right here. So what's happened so far in this particular shot is DaBaby and Henry were going at it. Jalen then joins the fight. I want you to pay close attention to DaBaby's head. You can see that DaBaby is peeping that Jalen goes for his gun, and that gets him a little spooked, and he hyper focuses on that, which is why I think Henry Douglas at this point in time managed to kind of get the upper hand. I mean, DaBaby, as you can see at this point in time, is pressed against one of the aisles at this Walmart. Jalen then goes for his gun, and then there's a third guy. He's with them. He's kind of just standing around. Moving on to the next part right here. Mariah, the woman who was with DaBaby, I think she kind of saw that Jalen was going for his gun. She actually ends up charging at him shortly after, hits him right in the face. Right before she does that though, Jalen kind of grabs her by the right shoulder with his left arm, and that's when she hits him. DaBaby looks like to me at this point is still a little bit distracted by Jalen. I think he has Jalen going for his gun in mind this whole time. He's also seeing Mariah, the woman he was with, his girlfriend, his baby mama, whatever, getting into it with Jalen, and this next part is when it all goes down. However, we don't see it going down in this footage. We only see the aftermath of the actual killing. So now we're back to the previous camera angle. Right here we see DaBaby. It looks like he just fell down, and look what happens next. DaBaby stands up, grabs his gun, and instantly looks back. Right here DaBaby points his gun in the direction he's facing, but he doesn't shoot. There's no muzzle, so no shot was taken, but he points his gun in the direction he's facing and then puts it right back. Now this is what I think he saw, and by the way, keep in mind, we don't get to see the most important part of the shooting, which is when DaBaby actually kills Jalen. It is a little fishy to me that the camera angle suddenly switches to this other shot when that's about to happen, but back to DaBaby. So after pointing his gun in the direction he was facing, he puts it back, I'm assuming because he realizes that the threat, as he saw it, is now neutralized. DaBaby then kind of walks around frantically, looks like he's screaming something because his mouth suddenly opens up. He picks up his phone, most likely to call law enforcement, and that's when the footage ends. Alright, so that was a lot of moving parts in this particular footage. I hope I did a good job of breaking it down, but you guys saw how this whole thing went down, right? Things escalated pretty damn quickly if I do say so myself, but there are a couple important things I want to highlight in this footage right here. The first one being this: when DaBaby charged at Henry Douglas, what was said? Now this is very important. This footage was not released with audio, which I think is strange because verbals are really important in any altercation. Depending on what you say to another person in a heated situation, that could lead to two different outcomes. It could either de-escalate the situation or escalate the situation. So DaBaby launching at Henry Douglas, is there more to the story? Did Henry Douglas or Jalen Craig say something, to elicit this kind of response? I'm asking these questions because we don't have the audio, so it's only natural. Now DaBaby, he's a wild guy, so maybe nothing too crazy was said and he just had murder on his mind like he usually does. However, as far as this situation right here, we do have a situation where he was in fact cornered. He had Henry Douglas in front of him, he had Jalen Craig to his left, and the third guy was somewhere as well. So three guys cornering another man? That means shit is about to go down. Also keep in mind, he was with his family at the time. Another important, probably the most important part of this footage is when Jalen decides to brandish his gun. Now brandishing a firearm means you're ready to take it there. If you're in a situation where things could go both ways, let's say it's an altercation in public with another person or multiple people, the moment you brandish your gun, they're gonna brandish their gun, and whatever happens, well, you are the one who opened that door, so you gotta be prepared for anything. Because all DaBaby was seeing in this situation was three guys standing around him and his family. If you ask me, it didn't really look like a friendly encounter even before DaBaby charged at Henry Douglas. So we got these three guys standing around him and his people. He charges at one of them, and another guy, Jalen Craig, goes for his gun. DaBaby is obviously paying attention to Jalen the whole time. The altercation continues. Jalen enters the fight. DaBaby's woman tries to distract him after she sees him going for his gun. Jalen grabs DaBaby's woman, she hits him in the face, and after that we don't see exactly what happens since the camera angle switches. In the end, we see DaBaby falling down, pointing his gun at the direction he was looking at. He's frantically walking around, and that's that. This is not how everybody sees this, but what I saw right here, man, this was self-defense. There's a reason why they dropped this murder charge right here. DaBaby was in this situation acting in self-defense. That's what I'm seeing as I'm looking at this footage. Jalen Craig, obviously rest in peace to the man, he did go for his gun, which means he made a decision to take it there. This incident right here could have very much ended up killing DaBaby, because imagine if DaBaby decided to not go for his gun when Jalen did. In that scenario, there is a chance that DaBaby would have not made it out of that Walmart alive, because we really don't know what was going through Jalen's head. Maybe he pulled out his gun as an intimidation tactic, and maybe he wasn't going to use it after all, but we can't go off of what we think, we can only go off of what we see. And what we see in this footage right here is DaBaby is surrounded by 3 men when he's out with his family. I think that alone should tell you a lot. This to me did not look like a friendly encounter at all. Yes, DaBaby was the one who initiated physical violence, but from his perspective, he got cornered, is with his family. If I don't do something, we're all in danger. And also something else I want to bring up, this investigation is over. The police thoroughly investigated this crime, which means they've listened to the actual audio, they've seen the uncut footage, and after that, they came to a conclusion. If DaBaby wasn't acting in self-defense, he would have been behind bars serving football numbers, eating them good noodles every motherfucking day. Does the law, in his case, the police, make mistakes? Absolutely they do, but in this situation right here, I really can't look at this and say that's what happened. Is everybody gonna look at it the same way? Most definitely not, but that is my perspective, and I'll say it with conviction because that's what I see. This story is very sad because it could have been avoided. Unfortunately for Jalen Craig, this altercation cost him his life. And I just want to say this, violence should be avoided at all costs. And just to be clear, I'm saying violence that could be avoided, not violence that's been inflicted upon you. Because at that point, you're protecting your life and you gotta do any and everything to make it out alive. A lot of people get in situations where they have the chance to walk away, but they don't. As I see it, I think Jalen Craig and his guys could have walked away from this situation and Jalen would have most likely been alive. Some people are saying that Jalen and his guys, they were fans of DaBaby, that's why they approached him. If you ask me, however, and this is controversial, but I'll say it, all things considered, DaBaby to me doesn't look like the initiator of everything that went down in this video. Now he did charge at Henry Douglas, so he's the physical aggressor, but pulling out a gun is a whole different ballgame. And this is why I think DaBaby was able to walk away from this shooting without getting charged with murder. Had DaBaby, let's say, pulled out his gun first, what would have happened? Well, Jalen Craig would have done the same and may the best shooter win in that situation. Obviously, that's not what happened in this case though. A man who gets cornered by 3 men in a store when he's out with his family, that's not a man I look at as the aggressor. I think DaBaby generally feared for his life when he saw Jalen going for his gun, and that's why it ended the way it ended. If we had the audio to this footage, I believe that would give us a lot of clarity, but the audio is nowhere to be found. The audio not getting released with the video, I think that's questionable to say the least, because why not? Especially since this case has already been dismissed in the court of law, and it wasn't the court who released this footage, it was Rolling Stone. And also, I'm very skeptical of the fact that the camera angle suddenly switched when the actual shooting went down. Why would that happen? Was it purposely cut out? If so, what was the reason? Why isn't the audio included? I have a lot of questions, but you know what? I'll just stop right here. But yeah, there you have a breakdown of the Walmart shooting from 2018 involving DaBaby. You know my stance on this. I think this was self-defense, and after all, there's a reason why the case got dismissed. But enough of my opinion, I want to hear what you have to say. Like we covered, the footage from the 2018 Walmart shooting involving DaBaby and 19-year-old Jalen Craig, who ended up getting killed by DaBaby, has now been released. Now that you know exactly what happened in this story, and now that you've seen the footage, what's your personal take on this? Definitely let me know in the comment section below, and like this video. Like this video. Like this video. Let's have a discussion about this.